Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? Today, we have a special guest during the onboarding session. Twist is with us. Twist is a seasoned student, and he can probably share a lot of insights with the new joiners. Hi, Twist. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Bit of an
For
impromptu decision to join on, but I could hopefully add some value to the newcomers.
Of course you can. And you've been through so many stages, right? I mean, I've seen you grow so much. I've seen you struggle. I've seen you succeed. It's great to be talking to you. And
Yeah,
hopefully,
I think what the great thing for anyone that's joining and anyone that's starting doing this is just to understand my background isn't trading. I've never traded before since DR. So everything that I've learned and everything that I do has all been down to the team at the DR. It's down to the lens data that you created, the way that Master teaches. Everything that's been taught has just been down to. So everything that I know, has been down to what I've been taught. So it's good because I think people can relate more to somebody that's never done this before, right? And
right.
sometimes they can become a little bit, is this right for me? Am I going to be able to do it? Is it going to be difficult? I've not got the experience. I've not got the knowledge. And I'm here to say, forget it. You don't need any of that. You can come in with a blank canvas and do very well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So let's address some of the questions that people will have. And hi James is the first one here. James is a newbie. He's been training for a year and looking to find consistency. So he already has a little bit more experience than you, right? But he's a newbie in a DR academy or in DR world. He's working through his way through the quick start and he's wondering if it's advisable to do all of that before starting any backtesting. What is your recommendation? And tell us, when did you join the academy? When did you start studying the concepts? How did you change your way of studying the concepts? And did you figure something out, or what works for you? And I know that learning is a very personal thing. Some people learn by repetition, and some people learn by having everything structured in front of them and writing everything down, taking notes on everything, and some people are just pick things up easily. So it's everybody's different, right? But I want to hear from you, Twist.
Yeah, I don't think it's a one shoe fits all scenario trading, and I don't think what I would do would be necessarily right for somebody else, and what somebody else would do would be right for me necessarily. But I started the academy right back at the beginning, so I'm literally day one. I found Master back in December, and as soon as the academy started, so I think we started. What was it? The 1st of February when we started.
Yeah.
It was a little bit different back then because there wasn't as much structure as there is now. So to be fair, I think the students that are coming in now have a lot more advantage over what we did because obviously with what Master's doing, it's very new to him, and it was almost like a learning process for him as well in regards to how to lay out the teaching and how to structure it and make it as efficient as possible. But there's always going to be teething problems with anything that you do when you start something new, right? So it's never going to be 100%. But I think what the students have now over what we did is a plethora of knowledge and all this information right from the start. And I would just say start at the beginning. And if you've got a basic understanding of DR, and you understand how to use lens data to a degree, then start back testing it straight away, because that was what changed it for me. Was doing the back testing, because without that, you've got no foundation of how the market works in regards to DR, and unless you do that, you're never going to be able to understand that in a live situation. So I would say, as soon as you've got a basic understanding of how the DR concept works alongside lens, is get on the charts and start back testing straight away. Because the more you do of that, the more confidence you're going to get when it comes to later on when you're starting to trade it live. And, you know, without that, it's just going to be impossible. It's just, you can't, it's almost like practicing. It's almost like, you know, professional footballers don't just play football on a Sunday and expect to be a professional footballer for the. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't happen. You've got to practice every single day, and you've got to work at your craft. And fortunately for me, I'm quite disciplined with stuff like that. So what Master says, I do, and I've been like that since day one. Apart from my mind, which you know, but unfortunately, as he openly admits, you know, he can teach us as much as he wants, but he's never going to be able to teach mindset. So that was something that I had to overcome myself. But the rest of it regarding the studying and what he told us to learn, how to learn, the back testing, I did it all. And you need to be in that position if you're going to give yourself a fighting chance to be successful with this, because without that, you know, you start cutting corners. It's just not going to benefit anybody in any way, shape, or form. So I would say, yeah, the quick start guide is good. If you've got a basic understanding of how to use lens and DR, start back testing the assets you want to trade. I would personally start with ES because it's Master's firstborn child, and it's the I wouldn't say it's the easiest out of the lot, but it's the one that I would start at to begin with, and then move on to different assets, because as you move on in the academy, you will find that, you know, we start to trade CL, but CL can be very volatile. It can be very different to the way ES moves, and I just find with ES there's a lot more consistency when it comes to the retracements, the data, the extensions, the time. It's a good starting point.
I had a very similar experience. You know, going from ES to CL, like the changing character is quite evident, and obviously, you know, if you backtest it properly, you know, you'll figure it out for yourself. But let me unpack some of the things you said. I want to play devil's advocate in some of these points. So you're saying that new students who are joining us have a huge advantage, which is true. You know, a lot of the content is already there. So if you want and if you are disciplined, you could just cram a lot of the content in a very short time. But what I can say is that I've seen a lot of new students who join and are confused because they don't find like overly structured you know, program, which is, you know, is going to come in the future. You know, we are working a lot in the background, but at the moment we have a quick start guide, which is an attempt to sort of organize the topics in a logical way. But there are some students who were completely lost, let's say like that, and then they were asking advice in the Discord, in their channels, how to, you know, how to get up and running, how to get a better understanding. And someone suggested to them, oh, just start from the beginning and watch every single live, you know. And some of the students would join, for example, mid of April or May. They did exactly that, and so they replicated the experience that the very first students did. You know, you go live by live, you know, you learn by watching every single live, you learn through repetition, right? Because understanding how DR lens work, how to input the data, how to interpret the data, I can make a 2 minutes video about it, but you're not gonna get it, right? Yeah, I mean, you can understand it superficially, but the way we learn things is by repetition, right? You need to repeat something 50 times until you internalize it. It's like a language. If you want to learn a language, a foreign language, you're not just gonna read the word and the meaning, the translation once or twice, and then you you remember it in a week. No, you won't, right? Unless you repeat it every day or every 2 days. So
No,
I would say, you know, there is an advantage in being one of the first students, because you can, if you are a diligent student who show up every day, or if you missed a live, you watch it at the end of the day or the next day. And I'm sure you are one of those students, right?
I've never missed one of the lives since it started. I won't watch the recordings. I watch them live as it happens.
Yeah.
That's just my thing. I just prefer to do it as it happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think starting at the beginning, 100%, and don't cut corners. You know, watch every video and take it in. There is a lot to take in, but we're not here to be in a 100-meter race. This can take as long as it needs to take you to absorb that information. But I think the good thing with now they're recorded, some people learn faster than others. So I think the advantage that people will have is when they get something on the first, second, or third video, they're able to move on at a pace that allows them to. And it's the same with the people that don't necessarily get it that fast, because obviously with the lives, they're happening 3 times a week. So you can be in a position where you can look at something and you have to move on because we're in another live, and then something else happens that you have to start to learn. So I think that's why it's good for people, because they can move at their own pace. You know, so if they watch one video but it takes them 3 weeks to take that information in, then so be it. They're in that position that they can do that. So that's the advantage that I was sort of referring to more than anything. But yeah, start at the beginning and definitely do not cut corners. You know, it just can't be done. But don't think for one second if this is going to be, you know, something that you can do for a month and expect to be trading profitably. It's not. It takes some serious hard work and effort. You know, just to give you a little bit of context, I gave my job up last year, so I do this full time. So I'm spending between 6 to 8 hours every single day at the charts, whether that's trading live or whether it's watching a video, or whether it's doing something that Masters asked us to do. That's the amount of time that I spend. So granted, I'm not trying to say that people that don't have that amount of time are going to struggle. They're not. They're not going to struggle. You know, there are people in the academy who, you know, are full-time jobs who do exceptionally well. You know, just doing 2 or 3 hours here and there. But what I'm trying to get, you've got to put the hours in. You really have to, and that's something that's, you know, I didn't really understand at the start. You know, I knew it was going to be difficult, but I just didn't realize how hard it was going to be. And that's really the one thing that you know, I can take from that is not really understanding how difficult it was going to be with the amount of information that we've got to learn. But we've got time on our side, so you know, it's not something that's, you know, going to expire anytime soon. So that's good.
Yeah. Very well said. And I'm just wondering, I don't see the chat moving a lot. So are people listening fine? Give me a sign. People, ask more questions. We have Twist here. You can ask any question you want. Or maybe they're just soaking the information, and that the information is so good that they don't need to ask questions. Let's see. Yes, so James is here. Where do I find the link to the MSc live schedule? Link. Okay. Hey guys. Nice to see you guys. So I think they're just enjoying the talk. Okay, so James, where do I find the link to MSc live schedule? Okay. Let me do it for you. That's what the onboarding is all about as well. So, James, if you click on events, and let me switch my screen so people can see. Yeah, you can see it. So, this is the DR Academy, right? So if in the home page you can find all the past videos, right? You can scroll down to the very bottom, and I would start, if you are a discipline student, start from the first video. I mean, some of the things will be slightly outdated, right? Like the DR lens interface, it was different, but it's a constant development, right? So we're always working to bring new things, new tools, new metrics. But the concepts are still the same, right? So you scroll the very bottom and you can see the first video here. If you want to see the futures video, so whenever you want to join a live event, you click on events here. And here you find the schedule for the futures event. So today is the onboarding session. Tomorrow, this is the ICT package, which is run by Kit. It's not run by us. If you're solely focused on DR and DR entries, you need to have either BSc or MSc package. If you're interested about combining ICT concepts with DR, then you use this package, but you know that you don't have access to Drive 2.0 or Drip or uh, the weekly DRs tool. So those are things reserved for the DR Academy students. Okay, so hopefully that is clear. Let me go back to the chat. Yes, Axeman, Axeman, that's where you ask the questions. James is solely on DR now. Welcome, welcome, James. Welcome to our beautiful DR land. Okay, so are we trading this today, guys? Who can answer? Nika. Nika is asking, I've been going through the live sessions from the beginning and noticed that M7 looked at the unfiltered data but doesn't anymore. I guess we don't need to look at unfiltered data anymore. So Nika, the way, as Twist was mentioning earlier, we started the academy in January, and we were figuring things out, how to best teach this trading approach and methodology. And initially, M7 was using, yes, as you said, he was using a lot of filtered data and filtered and drawing lines, but people were just getting completely overwhelmed. So he basically changed the approach in the way he was teaching some of the concepts. So that's why we don't look at the unfiltered data as much anymore. But there are things you can you can get from looking at the unfiltered data. But that's only for people who can dig down on data on their own and find insights. But we have a lot of students with very diverse backgrounds, so we're trying to make it as understandable as possible for everybody. So we're not using that approach anymore. But if you are interested in the nuances in data, then you can figure things out. James, you got a star. FOMC day, so we're not looking to trade the equity instruments. I believe we shouldn't trade the crude either, because if I look at the news, I also see that there is OPEC, which should be OPEC meetings. I don't know if it's a good day to trade crude. But anyway, this week it's bank holiday on Tuesday, FOMC today, NFP Friday, so it's not the best week for trading anyway. So personally, doing a lot of work on the academy in the background. There's a lot of work to be doing, so so I'm focusing on that. So is there a resource in this program to learn more about identifying volume imbalances and gap imbalances? Also some questions for identifying good trade entry points. X-Men 007. So as we said at the start of the conversation, the best way is to start from the very first video. Those concepts were introduced very early on in the academy. We also tried to put the explanation for the volume imbalance and gap imbalance in the quick start guide. So if you don't want to go through every video, which some people don't want to, understandably, and we are in the process of making short to the point snippets of informations about every topic. So that will come, but for now, my recommendation is check the quick start guide. We said something about volume imbalance, gap imbalance, and I'm happy to go through it again now. But the best way to understand is go through the first few videos in the academy. You have MSc, so you have access to every single video, so you are definitely going to find it. But I can give you a quick explanation right now. Oh, that's fine. You joined yesterday, so it's understandable that you haven't gone through everything. But so visually, I can show you very quickly what the difference between the two is. We still have Twist here, right? You're still here with us?
I'm just admiring your voice. Sitting in the background.
It's okay. So I'm gonna do some. Oh no! Can people see my screen? Yeah. Okay, so these are two candles, right? I can make a wick as well. And I can make a wick as well. So the space between the body of the candle, what is the body of a candle? So open and close determine the body. The wick determines the highest and lowest point during the time frame. And what a volume imbalance is the space between the bodies. So if you have a candle that closes at 21:30, like this one actually starts at 21:30 and opens at 21:35, the next one. Usually close price of one candle should be the same as the open price of the next candle, but sometimes there are some small gaps between the two. So whenever you see this little space between the close of a candle and the open of the following candle, that is called either a volume imbalance or a gap imbalance. The difference between the two is that if the wick of the first candle doesn't reach the level of the open price of the next candle, then this is considered as a gap imbalance. So there is a gap that is not filled by this wick. Whereas if the wick is bigger than the gap, than the next open candle, then this would be a simple volume imbalance. So let me just do the two example so people understand. I can take a screenshot. So this is a bit, and then let me do it quickly. And I'll come into the few key concepts that we need to understand with give and whips. Okay. This is a give actually. Okay, so we have a vid where the wick goes above the open price of the next candle, and we have a gib where the wick of this candle doesn't reach the open price of the next candle. And what else? Let me see what you were asking about this too. Volume imbalance and gap imbalance. Question for the good. good trade entry points, that's a bigger topic. But let me tell you something more about Vib and Gibbs. Whenever you see this gap, this is something that, if you understand that the price is mainly driven by algorithmic trading, uh, basically the huge proportion of the volume of trades is done by algorithms, right? Whenever you see a gap in this in your chart, this is a footprint that there is some sort of imbalance. That's why it's called volume imbalance that needs to be compensated in the future. So what happens is that if you have this gap and the candle keep going up, you know that at some point one candle will need to dip, price will need to come back into this gap. So what we say is that if you have a volume imbalance that's still left open, meaning there's no subsequent candle that comes back into this range, this we call it as a magnet, right? Let me put an emoji. Magnet is here. Perfect. So this is a magnet, right? Because there is still an imbalance in price. And we know that at some point this will need to be rectified, meaning price will need to dip back into it. So this is magnetized. As soon as one candle does this, a future candle does this, and then just dip into it like this, the magnetic function is lost. So this is not magnetic anymore. So price has no reason to come back to this range. So if price does this, do it this, and then we're here. If price goes back here and then we're here, then when price is here, price has no reason to come back into this range. It can, but we say there's no more magnetic function in this volume imbalance. Is that clear so far? So that's the importance of the volume imbalance when it's magnetic. A gap imbalance has some other implications. So whenever a gap imbalance is trespassed by a candle with a body close, say for example, price at some point price does this and go completely over the gap imbalance, then this area becomes a no trespass area, meaning that price, whenever price does this and then close below, then this becomes a no trespass area, right? Obviously, sometimes it gets invalidated, and if it gets invalidated and it goes this way, then it becomes a no trespass area on the other side. But that's the function of the implication of a gap imbalance. There is a question for Twist. So I'm based in the UK. Would you mind sharing which broker you use? Sorry if the question is relevant to anyone.
Yeah, of course, man. No, it's not irrelevant. It's cool. Happy to see someone from the UK, which is cool. I'm currently with a prop firm at the moment, and so in terms of advice for if you're in the UK, I'd probably stick with what Master uses, which is Interactive Brokers, or the Tradeovate platform, or AMP. All three of those are very, very good. Low commissions, especially if you're trading, if you're happy to trade futures. I suppose it really depends on what it is you're wanting to do. Whether you're wanting to trade a futures account, whether you're wanting to trade a CFD account. Personally, I've been through the rocky road of futures, CFDs, back to futures, and I would happily say stay away from CFDs. So try and stick to futures accounts if you can, and those three, if you're going to trade your own, are the best. And if Master says they're the best, then they're the best. So you just got to go with what the boss says, right? So Interactive Brokers first, Tradeovate, and then AMP are the three that I would look at. If you're not looking at doing that and you want to trade a prop firm, that's a completely different question, which I'm happy to answer as well.
And in terms of interactive brokers, the reason why Masters recommends it is just because he's been using them for 20 years, right? So it's a solid platform. It's one of the best in the industry. A lot of the traders, just go for interactive brokers across the world. So not only the UK, also in the US. Um, it's just a well-established place. If you have your own money, that then you can trust this broker. Having said that, it's one of the best in terms of you know um, brands and experience and longevity of the brand, but it's not one of the best in terms of margin requirements. So if you trade with interactive brokers and you want to trade the ES, the margin for a contract is quite significant. Meaning, if you want to take the full ES contract, one ES contract, mini contract, I think the margin right now is $9,000. So if you want to buy one single ES contract, you need to have at least nine or $10,000 in your account. And if it's outside the regular trading hours, it's even higher because you need to have a minimum the maintenance margin on top of that. So for some of the students, that's it's not it would not be feasible to trade the full size contract, but you can still use the micro contract. So you can trade the MES, so the micro version. And by the way, guys, even though I don't have a fancy accent, I'm also based in the UK. I'm from Italy, but I live in London. I've been living in London for 8 years, so I'm a colleague of yours.
When you live up north, mate, we don't consider people from who live in London to be part of the UK. So unfortunately, you don't qualify.
and vice versa, no?
There's always that weird. There's always that weird transition when I go down south. It's like the country changes. It's weird, and then I'm always happy when I turn back round and come back up north. It's like it changes. It's peculiar. I'm only joking.
How do you deal with the weather, Twist? I cannot stand it.
This is why I'm learning Master's Way, so I don't have to deal with the weather anymore.
So you can just say
Just
sayonara.
follow the sun.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. What exercise would you recommend besides watching all the videos? So watching all the video is not an exercise per se. Let me put it very straight. We're not binge watchers, right? We're not watching Netflix shows. Um, every video requires an input on your side. I mean, there are some videos where there some concepts are explained, like I just did now. I explained the difference between a volume imbalance and a gap imbalance. But sometimes M7 is showing you how to re-engineer a trade or how to backtest a time-based entry. Time-based entry for people who are new. I don't know if people watched the live yesterday. Hopefully you guys did. But time-based entry is simply you go on DL Lens for a specific day of the week. Let's say today is Wednesday. You check the data for Wednesday confirmation long, and you check where the biggest distribution is for the maximum retracement time. So that's called the time mode. So that's the time where the maximum retracement happened in that specific day for that specific confirmation. And you just mechanically just trade a very mechanical system where at the end of the time you enter, you put your stop below the retracement that you have observed so far, and then you pick the target based on, again, on the distribution data. Usually you check out the mode and you go to the left. The highest point you find on the left, that's your target. And you just have to do a very simple back testing. Very, very simple. You don't need to use your brain at all, almost. And yeah, you just see for yourself. You're gonna have 5 losers in a row, but you're gonna have a lot of winners as well. And at the end of the day, you're gonna make a lot of money. if you follow this very simple and easy strategy. So those are the things you start backtesting on your own, and everybody needs to do the exercise. It's not about knowing that it works, it's about doing it yourself, seeing it for yourself on the chart. That's very important. That's the best bang for your buck. Let's put it that way. If you don't do this, you're basically, um, I wouldn't say wasting time, but you're not making the most out of your time. You can watch all the video you want, and it's great, but you're still not gonna solidify the concepts by just watching the videos. Anything to say on this, Twist?
I think just to add to that as well, it's interesting that obviously asking about backtesting, what else can we do in regards to into the learning process. But one thing that I would have loved more than anything would be to have dealt with the mind exercises and self-development outside of training way before sort of 5 months into the academy. So for me, I would always say to people, you need to, start on self-development outside of the videos. Listen to podcasts, listen to all the things that will help you develop a stronger mindset and a better self-belief. Because one thing that I really, really struggled with was the mind. I didn't have any issues with learning, but I really, really struggled with that. And I don't think a new trader, especially for me coming into the scene, I always assumed that people would fail trading due to blowing their accounts and over leveraging, or losing all the money and having to do something else with their life. And it's not the case. A lot of the time people will fail due to their own mindset. So I would say right from the start, if you're not doing it already, meditation 100%, get on it straight away. If you're not comfortable doing it, just say to yourself, I don't care, just do it seriously, because I wasn't comfortable doing it, but I made myself do it, and I sat down and it felt uncomfortable. But you've got to get uncomfortable with getting comfortable first, right? So you have to do things out your comfort zone to get better. But I would always, anybody that starts this would always say, help develop your mindset. And as you move on further into the academy, we introduced Lewis into the academy, who's the performance coach. But I would say very early on, if you can start looking into self-development books, mindset books, all the things that will help you be a better person, and not just for trading, but outside of trading. Trading is a byproduct of learning to have a better mindset. It just helps you develop a better skill with trading, but it also helps you be a better person outside of trading for your family and for your friends. So if anything, I would get on that straight away. So if you know you've got not a particularly weak mind, but if you know you're not very mind focused, you haven't got a strong mind, then that is something that I would start on straight away.
And also, the thing we found out with the first two DR Mind videos is that people are not even aware of their own thoughts, right? Like you might not even be aware that you have self-doubt, you don't believe in yourself, or you think it's not possible to become a trader because sometimes you have these random thoughts, but you don't pay attention to them, right? So the first step is being aware of your own thoughts, right? Just stop for a second. You have a negative thought, just relax and say, hey, what was I thinking? Why I was thinking that? And try to wake up and be aware of your own thoughts. We are like, autonomous machines now, right? Like 90% of what we think and do, it's all automatic, right? It's muscle memory. Even our thoughts are the same and repetitive, right? So if you want to change yourself, you need to be aware of your thoughts first and then start to slowly change them thought if they're negative, right? And I remember very clearly there was some time where Twist was posting stuff and he was self-doubting, right? You were sometimes you were struggling and you were saying, is this really for me? But obviously that's you overcame that. But I remember that there were periods of
Yeah.
where it was a struggle, right?
So here's the thing, right? So I'm 20 years into bodybuilding. So discipline with diet, training, focus on that has always been part of my life for 20 years. So I could quite easily go away on holiday, and yes, now I wouldn't, I wouldn't eat my diet and stuff. I would eat whatever I wanted, but coming back after 10 days, which I recently have done, I can quite easily switch back to having a focused diet again, and it's almost like robotic. So I've always got that inside to know that, that is something that I'm capable of doing. But you never really, when it comes to like bodybuilding, my background is sales. I never really sort of paid attention to my mind. It was almost like I neglected it because I didn't really think there was anything wrong with me. It's almost like it's that macho mentality of, well, I go to the gym. I don't need anyone telling me there's anything wrong with my mind. I'm confident, I'm successful with my job and stuff. So why do I need to be learning to control thoughts and stuff? It was never really anything that was apparent, that was very obvious at the start. But as time went on, and when you get hypnotized by Master for 5 months, you realise that actually, do you know what? You're pretty fucked up in your head, John. And you've got a lot of negativity, and there's a lot of judgmental thoughts going on, and there's a lot of past issues that were affecting current present issues and would affect what my future thoughts were going to be. And I'd allow my past to control my present, and I never really thought about all that, but that was really affecting my mentality when it came to trading, because I really couldn't understand why I was feeling the way I was. And I'd lose a trade and, oh my god, it'd be the end of the world, and then it would affect me for the rest of the day. Or things like if someone cut me up in traffic, that would piss me off for the entire day. And it's just not great. It's almost like self-sabotaging yourself every single day. And, if anything, forget the trading. I'm a better person now 5 months on, and that's just down to being in this academy. So if trading was to stop tomorrow, I know that my life would be better for doing this for 5 months. But I just wish that it would have been for the whole of the 5 months rather than the last, I would say, probably 6 weeks, that I really, sort of needed to make that change. And unfortunately for me, fortunately for everyone in the group, we've got a very attentive mentor that isn't just about teaching you a strategy. He could see that I was struggling. He could see that there was something not quite right, and he reached out to me, and we had a one-to-one. I didn't pay for that. It was something that he offered me, and we spoke on Zoom for 2 hours, which I thought was absolutely amazing, considering there's like 1,000 people in here. He didn't have to do that, but that for me was the absolute change in the way I needed to think. And he gave me an absolute slap on Twitter, and I'll never forget the date. It was the 26th of May. And from that day, I thought, that's it. I need to change the way I'm thinking, because it's just not healthy at all. So, I would really, really stress, if you struggle with that, or you can resonate to anything I'm saying, if you're that type of person that gets pissed off easy, that lets environmental issues control your mind and control your day, you need to start with helping yourself with that. And if you want any recommendations of podcasts, books, or anything like that I've been reading, then just send me a message or ask me in here, and I'll post them up, because honestly, it helps. And don't think, oh my god, I'm all right, I don't need help. Trust me, if you can understand what I'm saying, and you're thinking, you know what, I'm that type of person too, then it will help you massively with your trading journey. Trust me.
Thank you, Twist. That was very insightful, and hopefully people, can relate. And let me go back to a few questions that we skipped. So Green Trades is asking, I'm confused by how weekly DR box is defined. Can you explain? So the weekly DR box is very easy. You take the Tuesday, any Tuesday, regular trading hours. So 9:30 to 16, the DR formation of a Tuesday during RDR, that defines the weekly DR for the rest of the week. So this yellow box that is now automatically drawn by Drive, that's your weekly DR. And if you go back in the chart, you can see this is a Tuesday. That's when you form the weekly DR, and it stays there for the rest of the week, and so on and so forth. So this is a Tuesday, and this is the weekly DR for the rest of the week until the next Tuesday. Is that clear? How can we use the weekly DR as a resistance support or anything else? Yeah, obviously, I mean, we don't like to call it resistance or support. It can look that way, but the thing you need to be aware of is that uh, these levels are very important. So um, there are algos behind the scenes that are working 24/7 and they have every single level stored in their memory, and loaded up. And you should know that this level, the midpoint, the lower level, those are all extremely important levels that where something can happen, right? So we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if price is just straight up going to reject, but we can observe, right? We have eyes. So if you see that price is reacting to this level, then you know this level for this point is very important to the algo, and you know this is acting as a resistance. And this is very clear on this week. We have a clear resistance of this level, but sometimes price reject here and then comes back up and just go shoots through it and go on the other side, right? So we don't know, like, if you think that this is going to be a resistance, then and you trade against it, instead of watching and observing what's happening, then that's why we don't like to say it's a resistance or support. It can act as a resistance or support until it doesn't anymore. So that's why you need to react rather than predict. Okay, Elizabeth was asking regarding the GIP. Is the GIP is not used as a wall until after it's been passed through by a candle body, so it is not a wall on its own before it's passed through. Um, yeah, that's a similar point, right? You should that actually is a very similar concept. You should see what's happening, and if price cannot trespass, then it's acting as a wall. um, and whenever you have an entry, however you decide to take an entry, it's always advisable to put your stop below a gib, like two ticks below gib or vib. Vib and gib are both very important. Gib as a special function of acting as a no trespass area, but the vib is still can still have an impact on price, right? So the way M7 explained, like a metaphor to explain the vib and gibbs, is that it's the equivalent of a bump in a road. Like if you have a hole in the road, and you want to send workers to fill the hole, right? And that's the magnetic function. So you have a big hole in the road, in the tarmac. The hole needs to be covered, otherwise it's going to damage the cars, right? Or the scooters. So the workers come and they fill up the hole, right? But that's not enough, right? Even if they fill up the hole, there is still a bump on the road after the hole is being filled up, right? So whenever the next car pass on top of the former hole, they still feel on the suspension that there was something. And that's what this volume gap imbalance do on price. They still create a sort of reaction to price. Sometimes they're just completely ignored, but sometimes they create something in price, and the algo decides that that level is important and decides to turn around, or it just goes straight through and it doesn't matter. But you need to use your eyes and watch for what's happening around those levels. Does it help? So green trades, is green trades still confused? Let's see. Tuesday define it. So Tuesday defines the weekly box. The Tuesday DR and IDR, it's what you see on the chart. All these fancy blue rectangles here, horizontal ones, these are all previous Tuesday's level, right? If you see a rectangle like this, the upper level was the DR line and the lower level is the IDR line. So it's the space between the DR and IDR. Let me do it one manually for you. So let's go on regular trading hours here and let's find a Tuesday. So this is a Tuesday. Let me hide the box and the specific day cluster. And you can do it manually, guys. If you don't have access to Drive 2.0, you find all the Tuesdays in your chart. You take a rectangle tool, you find the IDR level, and you find the DR level, right? And what you can do is click on the options and then say extend to the right. And then you do it again. You do another one here. And it's already extended to the light, to the red, right? And this is your level, right? So now you have your DRC for the future. And the next thing you can do is go on the object tree. Let me delete all the drawings. So remove all the drawings. Let me do it again quickly for you guys. So this is the IDR, this is the DR level. This is the DR, IDR. Okay, now I have two DRCs, and you can go in the drawings by going to the object tree here, object tree, and then you can group them. So you can say create a group of drawings and call it DRC, and then you can lock it. If you lock it, you cannot change it anymore. See, I try to grab it, it doesn't move. If I unlock it and I grab this, it moves, right? So you can do it manually. That's just a visual explanation how these are drawn so that you understand where these levels come from. Any other questions, guys? And Twist, you need to go. Feel free to leave. It was really nice to have you here.
No, it's all right, mate. I'm just sitting, watching my phone and listening to you.
I'm asking, are there stats that show why Tuesday RDR box define the weekly DR levels? What stats would you need, green trades? Delete this. So the weekly DR, yeah, maybe you should watch. Let me just link a video because I'm not the. I would only be parroting what M7 taught us. But let me find a video where you can do a deep dive on the weekly DR. So. Let me find it for you. So 2 videos in order. Watch this first and then this one. I just took it from the onboarding, from the quick start. So green trades, the homework for you is to watch these 2 videos. And then if you have more questions, you can ask during the lives or tag me, or come back next week to read the next onboarding session. Great. Kelly, can you please go over how to calculate R's when you lower your risk in a trade? Sure. So let's pretend let's do a replay mode here. So let's say we enter at the end of this candle, stop below the 50% line, target 1. Just a random trade, right? So this is your entry, right? Let me put a sign here. And here the stop says 0.23, right? 0.23. So the distance of your entry and your stop is 23 cents. The CL contract, the full contract, basically one cent is $10, right? So 23 cents is $230. So let's make it very simple. Let's pretend you have your risk size is you can afford to risk $1,000 or sorry $500 per trade, right? Or even simpler, you can only risk $460 per trade because you're risking roughly 1% of 50K capital. Okay, so you're defining your risk. So define your max risk. So in this case, our max risk is $460. So this is our max risk. We have a stop distance of 23 cents, which means we can take 2 contracts. Take 2 contracts. So we buy 2 here. Boom, we have 2 contracts and we're risking 460. Then we go forward. Our stop is still intact. We see that our risk reward is, let's say that we want to move our stop to break even, right? So our risk was 460. Then we move our stop to break even here. Oh, actually, let's do it better. Let's say we move our stop in profit, right? So we say we don't want price to come back to below the DR anymore. So we put our stop here, right? Now we increase our stop even more because it's going nicely. There is a volume imbalance, by the way, here. Can you see? There is a gap between this close and this open. So this is magnetic. We expect price to dip back into it. Just for the sake of the exercise, I wouldn't put my trailing stop here, but let's say that you decide to trade your stop to this level, right? So let's see what happens. You go and you get stopped out immediately. So let me take another tool. Oh, let me just take this original tool. So right now you get stopped out at this level. Your original stop was at this level. So your risk reward, even if you get stopped out, is still 1.5. So you de-risked. You're not risking anything. If price comes back to break even, it's just a break even trade. If you get stopped out in profit, you're still making 1.5 R. So you take the number of profits you make divided by the original risk. So you'll still count the original risk. It's not like you say, if you do this and you do risk to this level, for example, and then you get stopped out. So same trade, same entry, same same place where you get stopped out, and you do risk to this level. This is not a 5R trade. Your trade is still, you were still risking this amount, right? So that's your original risk. That's how you're making at the end of the trade. So you're not making 5R. You still keep the stop on the tool where it used to be, and then just calculate. You do profit of the trade versus original risk, and you get 1.5. Kelly, is that clear now? Raja, yes. I'm afraid you don't have access to that. And that's that's that video is part of core DR entries. We don't talk about ICT at all, so that's not supposed to be in your curriculum anyway.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, M7. Thank you for joining us. We also have Twist here.
I see my favorite MSc student in the house.
I think I'm your second now. I think I've been overtaken by Anand, and I feel very very upset by this.
Well, he's not an MSc student, Anand, so
Yeah, so I have categories. So it goes favorite BSc, favorite MSc, and favorite PhD.
Okay, I won't tell Santi.
So how is it going, the onboarding session? Let me check the chat. I feel like I've been non-stop in one-on-ones to PhD session to other project chat, and I just come out of one. So, and I have to go into the next one. What about favorite American? I don't classify on favorite American or not.
Yeah, we had a
seems to be
very
good.
we had a very good session where, at the start people were not chatting at all because Twist was telling stories, and I was wondering whether we had people even watching because nobody was chatting, but they were just absorbed listening.
Probably fell asleep.
I don't think so. I think we all enjoyed that.
I mean, sorry, I'm eating my protein bar, guys, because else I'm not getting anything to eat. I think you are an example for a lot of things regarding to the academy and to journey of trading and mindset. So everybody, I can just give the advice that Twist is somebody you should listen to in terms of he has a lot of, like, even though he's just trading for 5 months, but he has been in places left and right. he definitely did the whole journey, running from one end of the cave to the other one and checking what is going on there. So I think it's very valuable what he can say, especially for starters, right?
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, it is. It has been a journey, but it's only just begun, and that's the exciting part.
Yeah.
It's only just begun, and that's the bit I'm looking forward to the most, I think.
Okay, I'll let you continue with your session, guys.
Yeah, let's see if there are more questions, guys. Otherwise, we can wrap it up. Wow, Twist, you are an influencer. You influence.
I'll expect my referral fee off Master next week. No, it's good. It's good, and that's the reason why I post on Twitter. It's because I want people to see that I am genuine with it. I post my losses, I post my wins. I don't hide anything on there. Everything's transparent. You'll find that a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people on social media, they only post the good stuff. I post everything. If I lose, it goes on there. If I win, it goes on there. And that's just the way it should be. So I appreciate that, Nick. It's good that I helped not influence your decision, but made that decision for you easier. So welcome.
It comes that I only see profits the last 3 weeks. What is going on there?
What was that? I didn't quite hear that.
I said how it comes for the last 3 weeks. I only see profits. What's going wrong with you?
It's mindset. I'm just literally like it's weird because now, if you spoke to me 6-7 weeks ago, a lose would be a big deal for me. Whereas now I just don't care. I see a trade, I see the setup. It's almost like my eyes see something completely different on the charts now, and I just execute, and that's it. And whatever happens, happens. Yeah. I'm quite happy knowing that I've stuck to all my rules, and if it doesn't go my way, it's not a loss. That to me is still a win. It's just didn't go the way I needed it to go, and so be it. Let's move on to the next one. And that's just literally how it is now. Everything's robotic. Yes. It's just enter, close, enter, close, and then that's just it. There's no other thought process behind it anymore.
I mean, that's what is so encouraging for me, and that's why I say that people watch it, read what he was taxing, because I mean, you know that, and we both know it. I mean, we had quite some talks, and I follow you on Twitter, and I know what you're posting on Twitter, and I know like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, now it's 6 weeks ago. I think the cutoff date is the 26th of May, right? Am I right or wrong?
That's the key day, and I'll never forget.
Yes. So if you look before 26th of May, you will see that like the way he was posting and the results he was posting and all of this stuff have been not on the level where it is now. Like it's like almost a day to night comparison now. And I can tell you for sure all what he did was it was just a mindset, right? And he had this wake up call on the 26th of May. And as he is, because like obviously you see his pictures, so he's like super disciplined when it comes to training. And I think that was the day where he decided that he not only has to train his body, but he has to train his mind and his brain the same way he's like doing it on his body. And like for me, that was when this day happened, it was either he's breaking now or he's breaking through. Luckily for me, it was the breakthrough. Good for me. And it was luckily really the breakthrough in his mind that he realized that like it's not only about you have to train your body, it's also about to train your brain. And when you train your brain, you will get the similar results as if you train your body. So you will become stronger, better in shape. Everything is changing. And that, for me, that's the most impressive from all my students. And this is not correlated to results. Obviously, his change in mindset obviously changed also his results, but that's not what I'm looking for. But like the shift of his mind paradigm is like absolutely outstanding. Most likely the most extreme change I have seen in all the 1,000 students we have here. He did it live, and he did it for everyone on Twitter. So it's literally a journey from the 26th of May where you can see the everyday getting better in his mind, right? With up and downs, because he's not holding back, that's what he's saying. But like, it's so impressive for me, and it makes me happy, and it encourages me even more that I'm doing the right thing, because like, that's the best thing to see, how not only his results, I mean, his results are great now. I would even call him crossing the river already. But he doesn't even care about this anymore. Like for me, he's a completely different person. And he knows, because I like him, I pulled him out. We had one-on-ones. We were talking privately to each other. For me, this is a completely new twist. Like 6 weeks ago, that's not the person I talked 6 weeks ago. And that makes me proud, to be honest. And he should be proud, and I'm pretty sure he is proud about that. And he
Oh,
didn't hear that only from me, so most likely the people in his real life around him would have given him over the last weeks also a similar feedback, which like maybe people were asking him, who is this guy I'm talking to now?
yeah, 100%. And I was just saying before you joined that trading now is the byproduct of my mind, because that's not the most important thing for me now. It's the change in the person I am for the people that are around me that I love, and that love me back. It's just an absolute shift in mindset, and thankfully, I'm in a position now where I can use that to my advantage when it comes to trading. But if trading was to stop tomorrow, I said this before, I'd be a better person for the rest of my life. So, just being in here for 5 months, and it's not even 5 months, we've been 6 weeks, and now Lewis has come on board with quantum, is it called Quantum Weaver? I can't remember what you've called it.
Yes, yeah.
I'm so excited for it, because I'm thinking, Jesus, like, I'm 6 weeks in now. What am I going to be like in 6 months?
Yes.
What am I going to be like in 12 months? So I'm excited for that. I'm more excited for that
Yes.
than passing challenges and making the hours, because it's helping me with everything else in my life. So it's cool for that. So thank you for saying you're proud of me, but thank you for giving me that opportunity to allow myself to change, because I think it was the wake-up call that I needed, and it literally was make or break. That message that you sent me on the 26th, it was a metaphorical slap.
Yes.
And it was like, right, shit, I need to change this, because if I don't, I'm going to continue down this destructive path for the rest of my life, and I'm not going to get to the dreams that I want to be, when I want to be fulfilling. So it was literally, that was it, complete shift. And like you said, it was such a really quick, intense change. It was like, it was massive. It's almost like I'm a different person now, and it's good. And it is noticed, like it is noticed.
No, it's not almost you. For me, you're a different person. I mean, like, I don't know you as in a super private, but we had a lot of talk in the time where you were in the academy, because I was always interested in you, because you were like one of the students which never touched trading before joining the academy, right? So that's why I was always interested in his journey. So I kept an eye on him, because I knew he's somebody who didn't trade before me. He didn't look at charts before me. So I always kept an eye on Twist and follow up. So we had some calls and chats during this period. For me, you are a different person. As I got to know you to now, you are a completely different person to me.
It's great, and I love it, and it's I'll be ever so thankful for it. Regardless of everything else that happens in the future, I'll always remember that date, the 26th of May, always, forever. And anybody that tells you that they can't change the mindset is talking bollocks. Absolute bollocks. I'm 40. And I've lived with this mind for all my life. So anyone that says, "Oh, I'm too old," or "I'm too set in my ways," you're talking shit. It can be done. Anybody can change.
Yes.
If they want to.
And the point is, like, what you said is like one point before I start boring the people listening to this. It's you said one sentence right now when we talked. You said that now, with the change of your mindset, you see the market different, right? So you see setups which you have not seen before.
Yeah.
But technically, in the reality, these setups have been always there. But
Correct.
it's like everybody, and that's maybe for a takeaway for everyone who's joining new. Like, we looking at the world, and I'm keeping it broad. We are looking through the world through our own glasses, right? So how we perceive and anticipate things happening in our world, in our small little world, it's unique to as we are unique as humans. So some things happening in Twist life, he has his opinions and his emotions about it, right? When if you would put me in the same situation, exactly the same situation, I would perceive it differently, right? So And what I'm telling the people and what is super important to understand when it comes to trading, there are jobs where this doesn't matter, right? But for trading, this matters a lot because the way you perceive yourself and how your mindset is structured, that's the way how you're looking at the market, right? And the glasses Twist was wearing, right, before changing his mindsets, they were literally colored in I'm looking for bad setups, right? He was unconsciously, his mind selected to look at certain setups with the narrative, the setups are bad, right? And that came from his mindset. And now with the shift of his mindset, now he's completely neutral. He's not looking for good or bad. He just looks at the market as it's happening. And that's the biggest achievement as a trader where you want to be, that you can look at the candles and the chart in front of your eyes and you look neutral at it. So there's no more emotion involved in like, oh, do I lose? Should I take this trade? And that's what happened with him. So through this mindset change, he replaced the glasses he's looking at the market with. And now instead of like having tainted glasses, he has clear glasses, right? And now he sees things, and that's what he said in his own simple words, saying like, okay, now I see it completely differently, right?
Yeah, I used to fear the loss, and it would affect me for the next day. So that's why I was saying that I would let my past dictate my current, my present,
Yes.
because I'd always be thinking, well, I lost yesterday and I lost the day before.
Yes.
And I'd come down to the charts, I'd be demotivated, I'd be not looking at it properly, I'd be thinking already in my head before I'd executed anything, I'd already lost the trade on that day before anything had happened, and that was my mindset. I came in every morning thinking I'm going to lose again today. Whereas now, if it loses, I don't care. I'm not bothered because I know I've done everything that I can possibly do. And unfortunately, the market doesn't know that Twist has put a trade on and it wants to go shit.
This is bollocks. The market gives shit about you.
I used to have this mindset. I used to think,
yeah, I know.
As soon as I put a trade on, the market would go in the opposite way that I needed it to go, and I think that's just done that on purpose. It knows that it used to happen all the time. Whereas now I just think, right, is everything grade A on this setup? Have I looked at every possibility? Is the data, the time, is there VIBs, is there weeklies? What is there that will add all this confluence to taking this trade if price retraces there? Once it does, I've already planned it in my head. So it's almost like I've already pre-walked the course. So if you're playing golf or football or whatever, you've already pre-planned the game. So I've already pre-planned what's going to happen for me to trade. And as soon as it does, I don't need to think about anything else. I just press the sell or buy button. It's done.
Yes.
And if it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But my performance is still high nines. So that's all I'm bothered about.
Yeah, because like the shift in mindset, like before you were not in control. You left the control to something external, right? The market defined you, right? Now you switch your mindset and you take control, right? So that's such a shift in mindset, and that everybody, like unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to see it, but every trader has to come to this point where he's realizing the only thing we can influence when we're placing trades, right, is our performance. So where do we enter? Where do we put our stop? Where is our target? We will never have the power, even as a collective, even if we grow to 100,000 DR traders, we're not going to have the impact that we're going to move the market, right? So all we can do every single day, every minute we spend trading, the only thing we have control over is our performance. And that's what you are focused on now. Before it, you have been an external participant in the market game, right? Now you are in the market and you control what you can control. And that's what it is. I mean, Messi is not coming and winning the World Cup because like if he would have just followed external environments, like he lost so many times and he can't control how his teammates are playing, right? Like he has control over how he is playing, how he's setting up the game, but he can't control if the striker is not hitting the goal, right? Or the goalkeeper is not catching the ball. It's not in his hands. He can do the best what he can do, And he kept on going for years, even when people told him, hey, you're too old, don't go to the World Cup anymore, right? And that's the winner mindset. That's the mindset which will bring you forward in every aspect of your life, not only in trading. That counts, that you can take this universal and just go with this mindset in everything in your life, and you're going to be having such a happy life. This counts for relationship, this counts for family relation. It's always the same. Like, as long you are looking that you are the best version of yourself, you're going to have a happy life, no matter what the achievement is you want to reach, right? You focus on that and you remove all the noise about whatever others doing or what others telling you, or like blaming other people for something is happening in your life. If you follow that and you try every day to be the best version of yourself, you're gonna reach everything you ever imagined.
Amen to that, 100%.
Okay, enough mind talk. I love this topic because it's so important.
It's probably
It's
the most important element, even more than setups, right? I mean, setups is easy to understand and learn, but mind is hard to master. It takes
100%.
time.
It is the most important, and I wish that I'd known this 5 months ago. But the process and the journey has been great, so it's good. But yeah, it's the most important.
But actually, I have to be honest with you there. I mean, like, I remember we had a talk, we were talking about meditation, and you said to me, what is this bollocks? You know, like, you have been kind of aware already before, right? But like, this is what is happening, and that's why this process is so magical and nice, right? It takes some time. You like, how to say, we have to suffer a bit until the suffer becomes like, so we reach a threshold where the suffering is for us personally enough. And that's the point where people start to change, right? People doing stupid stuff, living unhealthy, and then when they get sick, that's the extreme example for this. When they get sick, then they come to the point where they're saying, okay, now I want to eat healthy, I want to train, I want to do blah, 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 right? Luckily, my action helped you to not come to the lowest point where normally people change. And that's like one of my missions also for the people who are coming to the academy. I want to avoid people hitting rock bottom before they see they have to change, right? But sometimes we are so busy with everything what is happening around us. You need to first create awareness before you can start to change things, right? And luckily, I can avoid and I can help avoiding for some of the people here that you don't have to go rock bottom, right? Like, change is actually a beautiful thing. And once you experience it one time, how much power you have with change, then it's becoming like almost like a superpower. If you are able to change your mindset and you are able to change yourself as a person for the good, this is a superpower. I don't know anything better, to be honest.
Just something to ask, just whilst you're here, and I'm not sure whether this coincides with the mindset change, but do you remember when we spoke on the one-to-one, and I told you that I had IBS issues with my stomach?
Yes.
I also had sinus issues where I struggled to breathe through my nose. 6 weeks on, it's like it's gone. It's like it's disappeared. You know, I've not had any issues with my stomach for weeks.
Yes.
My sinuses have completely cleared when no medication could ever help. You know, I had to take the worst steroid spray that induced high blood pressure imaginable to be able to breathe. I've not used anything for 5 weeks.
Yes.
Now, obviously, we read about Joe Dispenza and the way he talks about quantum thinking.
Mm-hmm.
This is something now that's shifted for me, that's helped, that I thoroughly believe in, that I just would never have imagined possible, and thought, anyone that talks like that is talking shit. Like, how can you change your mindset and all of a sudden something that's been wrong with you for years, physically, internally, has just disappeared? So I'd have been one of those that would have thought, no, absolutely talking shit, but literally, it is completely eradicated. It's the most amazing thing in the world that's happened. It's not just because of the shift in mind, but the physical element as well that I've gone through. It's just, you know, some people might be thinking, what is this guy on? He's is he on ketamine or what? It's but it's true. Like literally, I have to say that it's almost like I don't have it anymore. It's amazing, and I can only attribute that to stress and the negative stress that I was putting my body through every single day. It was almost like it was trauma every single day, and there's only so much trauma the body can take. And it was just, yeah, so I can only put it down to the fact that I've shifted that mindset.
No, there is no other thing than the explanation, and I give you the medical explanation for that, right? So everything what is happening, especially when it comes to emotions, like emotions are sending signals to our biochemistry. So the biochemistry state of our body, so what we are signaling to our nervous system and all of this stuff, is based on emotion. So when we have a negative emotion, the signals send it out to our nervous system are changing our body functionality, right? So literally when you are in permanently stressed in negative emotions, right, you sending your body in like, everybody has heard this word, fight or flight response, right? Fight or flight response, we have this in our body and in our neurochemistry and our biochemistry. It's an emergency state, right? So what is happening on a medical evaluation, like I'm not a medic, but I learned a lot about this stuff, right? So what is happening when we go in fight or flight, like our whole body functionality is getting trimmed, like fine trimmed, like a motor on what is necessary. And as it said, fight or flight. So either everything, your adrenaline, your veins are widening up so that it can pump better. And it's actually a bad state for the body to stay long in. So the longer you stay in fight-flight mode, it will damage your body, your organs, your digestion, because you're talking about digestive system, right? So this is literally in fight or flight. All like it's literally reduced. Normally we better have 100% how our bowel and our intestines and the stomach is working. Like our normal digestive process is 100%. If you go in a fight-flight response mode, right, this is getting turned down to 5%, because of course, for this situation, nobody cares about the digestive system. Right now, we need full power, full energy into running or fighting, right? Survival. And of course, like this functionality, why we have it is just like to save us in really, really dangerous situations, right? But the problem is, nowadays in our society, people spend the whole day in fight-flight. And of course, that has impact on your health, because imagine like your digestive system is running all the time only with 5%. Of course, you're going to have bowel syndromes, you have like all these problems which people are fighting. Because your biochemistry is literally programming your body, right? So... And it's very obvious, like, and the point is that people before, when they talked about positive thinking and all of this stuff, there was, like, in the last 10 years, or like, no, not even 10 years, 8 years, we did a big step in providing medical proof that this is affecting our whole immune system, our whole body functionality. Before it was like more a spiritual thing where people saying, yeah, if people think positive, they feel better, right? But like Joe Dispenza, for example, in the extreme other side, is having people which are able to cure like really serious diseases just with the mind, more or less, right? You can believe it or not, but like he's one of the pioneers delivering the scientific data for what is happening inside. For example, he made a study with over 2,000 people, showing that people who meditate like for one session a day, that the immune system was rejecting the coronavirus, right? And the symptoms for those who caught the coronavirus and have meditated were in average 60% lower than from the normal test group, right? It's crazy when you think about it, but for me, it's not crazy that you're saying that, because that's what's happening. So literally, you maybe the first time in 20 years or however many years, you're actually just having normal body functionality.
Yeah, it's been a long time, a long time. So yeah, I'd have been one of those people that would have listened to that and thought, yeah, curing disease and curing ailments, no, not a chance. There's not a chance that the mind can do that. But I thoroughly buy into it 100% because I haven't done anything different. My diet's the same. My environment's the same. Nothing's changed. The only denominator that's changed is the mind. Nothing else.
Yeah.
I'm just not stressed anymore. I just don't care about saying I don't care about stuff. That's probably not the right thing to say. I just don't care about the things that don't matter and the things I can't control. So anything outside,
you accept. That's what you do. Because it is like, one of my oldest mentors in the bank, in the first bank I was working, he always told me in German, es ist wie es ist. What translated means it is like what it is. So whenever I ran to him and I said, this is that, and he was like, it is like it is. And when you think about it, that's reality, right?
And it's true, but I used to get really I'd wake up and think, oh, for fuck's sake, it's raining again in England. I'm so not again, but now I look at it and think, well, actually, I'm blessed to be able to see the rain because there's somebody today that's not been able to see it because they're no longer here. And there's people in the world that can't see the rain. And it sounds really, really stupid, but these are the things now that I start to think about. Not obviously people that aren't able to see rain, but I feel gratitude for the rain because I can see it, I can feel it. And there's people out there that can't and would wish to be more than anything to be able to see it. And I used to use that as a negative for the day. And other things as well, just everything that I pass and everything that I do now, it's like every hour, every 2 hours, I just feel gratitude for something. And people might think, do you know what? You're talking with the fairies, it's all hocus pocus, but it's not. It works for me. And I love it, just simple things. And we've discussed it before, like just having running water in the house, there's people that don't have that. So I feel gratitude for that. Having a bed to sleep in that's safe. There's people that don't have beds to sleep in that in the world and they're not safe. So just every time I just remind myself, I just keep programming the mind to install these affirmations of positivity whenever anything slightly starts to creep in, and as wild and as stupid as it sounds, it works. Trust me, it really does. And if you saw me and you looked at me, you would not believe that I would be doing that sort of thing. I'm heavily tattooed. I go to the gym. I look like I'd rip your head off. But I'm so far from that. It's unreal, but it's great. And it does sound a bit hocus pocusy, but it works. And I'm an absolute convert in such a quick period of time. It's just great.
The funny thing is that when people, I tell a lot of people, obviously, in my line of work I did, because what most of the people don't know, in the professional world, in these positions where I was working, the burnout rate after 35 is 85% approximately, right? 80, 82, I think. I don't know the exact number, between 80 and 85%. So people who are working in the same position as a professional trader in those positions, the burnout or the people who have burnout by 35 is over 80%. And so I did not only talk to my students now, I also talk to workers, co-workers, even to a lot of people during my time in the banks and in the companies. And everybody was looking at me like I'm from Mars, right? But the only thing I always said to them, okay, so what's the problem? What does it cost you, right? What is the price you're paying when you wake up and you're just happy that you wake up? In a bed, rain or sun, doesn't matter. What's the price you're paying? What's the price you have to pay to think positive? And it's zero, right? It's just zero. And what are you gaining thinking 2 days later about the argument you had with your husband or with your wife or your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, right? Why would you replay a bad situation over and over and over and over again in your head, right? What does it cost you to say, hey, I'm just happy? It costs nothing, right? And that's the crazy thing, right? It's not even hocus pocus. It's just you have to ask yourself the question, so why do I bother myself with stuff, right? because it's not changing anything on reality. It's not changing your spouse. It's not changing your husband. It's not changing your boss. It's not changing your coworker. Let it go, right? Just what it
100%.
is.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is. And I've used that saying for years. And it's funny because you kept saying it on a video on one of the lives once, and my girlfriend was in the background, and she said, "Has he got that from you?" 'Cause I've been saying it for years, but never really acted on it. But it's like little things like like when you're stuck in traffic, most people would be pissed off with that. But now I just think that's a great opportunity to self-develop a little bit. So if you're stuck in traffic for an hour, what's the point in being pissed off with it? Just spend an hour on self-development, stick a podcast on. Or if you're stuck in a queue and you're pissed off with it, well, why? What's the point? You're just wasting valuable time there where you could be thinking about positive things. It's just little things like that I've tweaked and just got better with.
That's what is happening. And the crazy thing is there's there's scientific proof about that. And there have been some very bad events happening in the world, right? Which is this, like, from a psychology perspective, that people put themselves so under stress that it's making an impact on their decision making, and that's really like the last thing I'm saying today. But I think it's very, very significant to show this example. So there was like a big air crash, like a plane crashed while trying to lift off from an airport. And the captain who literally was responsible for the crash was one of the most decorated pilots the airline had. He was even the person or the pilot who was training new pilots for safety procedures and for decision making, right? So what happened? The plane had to land and was late, right? So when they arrived at the airport, it took a little bit to the handling on the ground and all of this stuff was taking longer, right? But as you know, pilots have a certain time window where they're allowed to fly and then they have to rest. So it came close to the rest period. And the pilot himself was like so focused on avoiding to come into the rest window, because that would have meant the airline would have to take the passengers into a hotel. So they would have to stay overnight. The crew has to be go and all of this stuff. So in his back of his head, he built up this stress and all of the pressure for himself that he wanted, for any price, he wanted to avoid that he's coming into his rest window, because like all the dots what he had, like very seasoned pilot, right? And to make the story start, so all of this pressure he built up internally in his head, right, led to the point that the plane was on the runway and he started to lift off before they got the clearance from the tower, right? And what happened then, like he crashed, and that's a real scenario, he crashed into a plane on the runway. So while he was accelerating, starting to lift off. So he literally ignored everything he ever trained in his life for, what he taught to thousands of pilots in the airline, just because he was getting into this stress moment where like everything was like putting so much pressure that he forgot everything, all the rules, all the checkups, everything which has to be done. Even the co-pilot was not able to stop him, right? Because even the co-pilot said, okay, do you really want to lift off? We don't have clearance from the tower and all of this stuff. And that's happening so often in trading with less impact, because this mistake costed, I think, like 200 people died on this in this event, right? And it was a crazy story when you think about it. And that's just like why people are stressing out when they are in traffic. The reality is that they have some plan and the plan is getting delayed. They either have to get to work or they want to go to the gym, right? And they build internal pressure for nothing, right? And then they're getting irrational. They're shouting at other people, showing the middle finger or whatever, right? Depending on this is crazy when you think about it, right?
But
I didn't know that the onboarding sessions were so good. Yeah, it's just me coming in and I can't close my mouth sometimes.
It's mad. It's a mad story, but it just goes to show that, you know, you let something like that slip by
Yes.
and make the wrong decision based on against everything that you've ever been taught and trained and what's happened. And yes, and you know, you can't compare that to trading to a degree,
Yes.
but you can in terms of if you've got stress, if you're elevated, if you're tired, or you know, you go against completely every single rule that you've ever been taught.
Yeah.
That trade is going to be that plane crash, and it's just
Yes.
going to go completely not the way you need it to go.
Yes.
So yeah, 100%. It's just stress has so many impacting factors on life and decision making. It's untrue, and you know it's quite fascinating to learn more about it. And you know we've got so much more to learn on the course. It's I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So who is interested, I will post later. There is like a book about what I just said. It's one example out of the books. I'm going to give that to you. It's all about how our perception makes us stupid decisions. I'm going to post the book. It's a very good reading. It has like 20 examples about how our mind and how pressure we are building around it can make us make unrational decisions. So I'll post it later in the chat, so that who is interested, it's a very good book.
Don't forget, I'll be into your DMs.
Sorry?
Don't forget, I'll be coming into your DMs. I'll be hunting you down.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we have to do something. Yeah.
No, I've sorted it. Thank you. I've sorted that.
Okay. Then drop into my message. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry for stopping the onboarding session or keeping it so long. I hope nobody is too much bored.
No, people are asking for the link, so it was really nice. Thank you again, Twist. Thank you, M7, for joining us.
No, I loved it. I absolutely love stuff like this. I love it. If I can, you know, if it just helps just one person, then what a great, you know, what a great achievement. So, you know, anybody, anytime.
I'm pretty sure you just helped more than one student for sure, and that's what we want. We want to give everybody the chance to succeed, right? And hearing stories like yourself, and you know, encouraging people to, you know, overcome any difficulty. You know, they're just, you know, we want to give everybody to become to have the opportunity to become the next Twist, the next books, the next Anand and David. You know, there are so many good students here and role models. So, you know, everybody deserves that. You know what it takes. It takes a lot of work, but you can all get there with prior training experience, without prior training experience. You know, with a job, without a job, you can do that.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you
Bye
next week,
guys.
Bye bye.